definitely. But now transitioning to a little of grappling. I think some of the bigger events in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, what Joseph Chen has been able to do in the ADCC, in the trials in European trials was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the kid is, what is he, 19 or 20? 19, right? And the kid moves, man. The kid moves, and he's not just like he's not just a spazzy white belt. Young spazzy white belt, young spazzy wrestler. The guy has incredible technique. Really sneaky technique. I was watching actually a little bit of Craig Jones, an interview that he had recently where he was talking about him, about Chen, and about the fact that if you looked at that bracket too. Joseph had a nasty, route into the finals.
A lot of potholes on the road.
A lot of potholes, man, and very, very close fights. I'm a big fan of who's the fighter? In the gi too. He's a fighter in the gi as well. He fights with. Espen. Him and Espen are on the same team. I don't know. I can't think of it offhand. But I thought he was gonna. Who was that? Danny. Who did he fight on the way to? Langaker. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So Langaker gave him a great fight, but as the fight went on, Chen was able to show his dominance. And he did that in the finals as well. It did go to OT, but that back take that he had,
that back take was cool.
It was nasty. And if you guys get a chance, we'll be showing. I showed the demonstration of that back take in one of our reels. So peep that out when you get a chance. But also obviously peep Joseph doing it because I couldn't do it the way he did it. He's a damn acrobat. And he dominated that division. And I'm excited to see what he does. In next year, is it every 2 years, right?
Yeah, so it's 2024.
2024, yeah. So I'm excited to see him in the main stage, in the big stage, and see how far he can go, because that's a nasty division. That's a crazy division. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how far he can take it, because he's still young. He's got a lot of years ahead of him, man. Fighting under a very good team. They seem to me, watching, I was able to catch Quintet, and to watch them do what they did in Quintet. Obviously I think who put on the biggest show was Craig. Just kind of reestablishing, or not reestablishing, but
I did watch a couple of those. Now that we're talking about it, you asked me earlier if I watched it. I was like, I didn't catch it, but I did.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I did watch it.
Yeah, and watching that toe hold that he had.
That toe hold was cool.
Nasty, man. Nasty toe hold.
Who would have thought to do that, though?
I know. But I think it just goes to show his creativity. He's a very, early on, he was obviously a leg locker when he first entered in the ADCC. That being said, I got a chance to watch some of his brown belt IBJJF world fights. Yeah, great stuff. So if you haven't watched him in the gi, definitely peep him out. I had the pleasure of this is going back a couple of years now, but in New Jersey he had done a seminar, and I had the pleasure of attending one of his seminars, and being on the mat with him, and I even got a chance to feel, he demonstrated some of the techniques on me, so I got a chance to feel, his control, his leg control, in the leg lock positions. And even got a chance. He demonstrated a top side arm and head choke, which was really strong. But the guy's an incredible grappler, man, and has come a long way and much more diverse than what he's shown.
I like Craig Jones a lot, man. I like real people.
Me too.
He seems like a real person.
He does.
He's like okay laughing at things, and it's like, I don't know. He seems like somebody I'd like to hang out with.
Yeah, and I thought that, back to the grappling side of things, I thought there was a little bit of a lack of leadership there.
On their team?
Yeah, on B team. But now...
He's taking that on.
Yeah, he has. And after watching the way Nikki fought against Nicky Rod. I'm talking about, not Nicky Ryan. After watching the way Nicky Rod fought against Gordon in their last fight, you know, I think Nicky has shown a lot of, you know, showing that he's more than just a wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, obviously with his, you know, his body lock passing, you know, and he's very athletic. And now he's incorporating a little bit more jiu-jitsu technique into
Well,
the
now
mix.
he's like studying leg locks. So
Yes.
I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yes.
On a freaking bear.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that was like the kind of the missing piece was more working his guard rather than just working that top pressure constantly. And then obviously watching J-Rod come up. You know, J-Rod's got an important, huge match in his first round against Mika today.
That's today.
That's going to be really exciting.
That's a cool one.
That's a really cool one.
Did you watch the press conference?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It was definitely hyping. Definitely a big hype up for that. That whole bracket was it Tackett is in that bracket?
Andrew Tackett, PJ Barge.
And PJ Barch is the other one in there. And PJ Barch, man, if I don't know if you got how much you got to watch of him. If you didn't, go back and you know, spend a little time before tonight if you can, because he looked great in PJ Barch looked great in the Quintet. You know, representing 10th Planet.
Tackett looked good last time too.
Tackett looked real good.
His last WNO.
Yeah, he looked really good. So I think that makes for, not that I'm counting anybody out in that, but I'm picking Mika for that, just because Mika, you know, never fails, man. The kid is always on point.
How crazy would it be though if J-Rod gets
Knocked him out in the meet. Yeah,
Dude,
it would be. And I'm not putting it past him. I think J-Rod looked great in he had some nice little passing and some transition sequences in Quintet.
He's creative.
He's very creative.
Yeah.
But early on he was, you know, because he's only been training jiu-jitsu for like 2 or 3 years.
Don't say that to me.
I'm being dead serious. Yeah, he hasn't been training that long.
He's
been wrestling for a long time too.
Yeah, and he wrestled obviously. He was a
Him
wrestler.
and his brother have a crazy wrestling background.
They do, and that's made them. And if they're training together, and you know, as athletic as Nicky is, I'm sure Jay has picked. They're different fighters.
There's different sizes.
They're very different, significantly different sizes. But back to what I was saying initially, I think, you know, between the three of them, Nicky Ryan, obviously, you know, it was unfortunate a couple years ago. Nicky took a serious injury, which really brought him back a little bit. But he looked good. I thought he looked good in Quintet, and I'm curious to see what you know. He got knocked out pretty early in the last, you know, and as did Krelstein. Krelstein got knocked out in the first round. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see with Joseph, with Chen, you know, being as tough as he is, and Craig obviously being Craig. It's going to be interesting to see what they bring back. You know, because I think Craig lost to Kainan. Kainan?
He did.
Yeah, in the last ADCC. So, you know, Kainan's not stopping, man. The guy's tough. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see what you know. And we talked about Kainan in that gi event with Marigali.
Yeah.
Right? It was them in the finals.
It was,
right?
yeah.
And he had 2 finishes on the way to the finals in that event. So it's going to be interesting to see in 2024. You know, we have the North American trials coming up in 2 weeks. You know, that's the same. Yeah, it's the Saturday. It's 14th.
14th.
The event that I'm jumping into is on the 13th, and then the 14th is on the Saturday event. So that's going to be interesting to see. That always brings out some killers. You know, that's always a crazy event. You know, so that's going to be interesting. And then obviously some of the other trials, and you know, the West Coast trials and some of those other trials coming up. Because I think you're going to see Mika probably in the West. Oh no, Brazilian trial. What was he? Brazilian trial. He won the Brazilian trials, right? Yeah, Brazilian trials. So it's going to be interesting to see where some of these other guys kind of fit in.
He did so nasty in that Brazilian trial.
He just did. He, I think he finished every fight.
He did.
In the Brazilian trials. Yeah, a couple years ago. So you know, obviously he's not getting worse. He's only going to get better. So I think today is going to be a nice spotlight on
another
that.
bracket today too.
We do.
It's who's in that bracket? Hold on.
It's we talked about it the last time. So Ash Williams is in that bracket. Kokorian,
Diogo,
Baby Shark,
and Souza. And Souza, yeah. We talked about that last time. And that's one thing I want to talk about a little bit now while we were talking about the trials. there was this kid who ended up winning Ash Williams' bracket, Owens, yeah, and he beat Ash in overtime. And actually, no, it wasn't even by points. It was by decision. And from an insider that I have over there, a good friend of mine, Tom, we had a quick conversation about it. And from what Tom was saying, Ash had a foot injury going into that. Now, look, nobody makes excuses, and you didn't hear anything about it, I think, for good reason, because Ash Williams is one never to make excuses. But if you look back to the way Ash fought in the ADCC, in the last ADCC, he got knocked out in the first round by Baby Shark, and he was the only one not to get submitted by Baby Shark in that bracket. So I think there's something to be said about that, for sure. And Ash actually won the trials the last time around, going into the last ADCC. So hopefully we'll get to see a healthier Ash fight tonight. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit of a.
His first match is with Gabriel Souza, right?
It is.
And then it's Krikorian and Baby Shark.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it's gonna be tough. That's a tough match because Souza, man, is an absolute beast. I'm picking him. As much as I like Ash, no disrespect, but I'm picking Gabe to win this bracket. And I think
I was going Baby Shark.
You were going Baby Shark, so I'm still sticking with it. And then we have the main event.
Dude, I mean, is he just going to continue?
I know.
Will this continue to happen?
I know.
I mean, look, man, he's so good.
He is.
He talks so much, man.
He does, and it's annoying. But you can't take away from the fact that he's as good as he is.
Whenever he has like interviews, I'm like, shut up, bro.
It's cringe. It's cringeworthy.
But he's so good, man.
He is good. And this like crazy, messy hair, like crazy beard thing that he's going on right now.
Castaway.
Yeah, it does look a little Castaway-esque.
He's got like a volleyball he walks.
He does. And it's all bleached. But let me not hate. Because there's enough people hating on him. Let me give respect where respect is due. Granted, the last match with him and Nicky Rod was I was picking Nicky Rod in that fight, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight.
I think that.
What do you pick? Who are you picking tonight, by the way?
Between them two.
Them two.
I mean, I think it's going to be Gordon.
I think so too.
I think it's going to be Gordon, but to your point earlier about your maybe it wasn't a point, just your observation about the last match that he had with Nicky.
Yeah.
The fact that it was that close, and Nicky is where he is in his career. Ultimately, I think Nicky owns the card that eventually dethrones.
I mean, how exciting is that next to ADCC? I mean, it just gets more and more exciting with some of these newer, younger guys coming up. And then you still want to see the old guys, like in the last one, JT Torres, like JT, I'm a big fan of JT's.
He's good.
He's very good. And it was tough to see him lose, the last time around, but I think it's going to show I think even JT's at a point, right? I think he feels like he's at a point where it's like, okay, I've had my time. Super respectful guy. It's difficult to find somebody who hates on JT Torres, right? Never disrespectful prior to his fights. Always respectful in victory and in defeat. That's the type of guy. It's those types of guys that you really like to watch and go out on top.
Unfortunately, there's no way to say it. Kindness doesn't sell nearly as much as being a jerk.
No,
it's
unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Gordon is what he's done is figured out that being a villain sells tickets, man.
No question.
It's weird, but it actually works.
Yes, it does, and it makes for a good event. I'm excited to see what this event brings tonight.
There's a couple other fighter matches on that card. I know Clay is defending her title.
Oh, really?
Clay.
Oh, okay. Who else is on that?
Brianna Stay-Marie is going to be going against Clay.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Rafaela Guides is going against Natalia De Jesus.
Oh, okay. De Jesus.
Yeah. And
De Jesus, bro.
And then Lovato is going against
Rafaela,
Evangelista.
Oh, really? Oh, that's an interesting fight as well. Always a big fan of Lovato Jr.
Lovato's the man, bro.
Yeah, always a big fan of Lovato. So it should be a good setting night. You know, we'll be back next week at some point, guys. Hopefully next week. You know, between my busy schedule, Manny's busy schedule, Danny's busy schedule. This is something we truly love to do, but unfortunately, you know, through training jiu-jitsu and our family lives, we don't always get together as much as we'd like. So hopefully we'll be back sooner than later. Before we go, I just want to throw some shade towards Albano and Preto for allowing the, you know, some of these non-jiu-jitsu heads to get a hold of those those dunks, because I think you're doing the jiu-jitsu community a disservice, or personally me a disservice. And
I should have been wearing them
for sure. Because they are a jiu-jitsu based sneak. Granted, there are sneakerheads out there, and I respect the sneakerheads because I'm a sneakerhead myself, as is Manny, as is Danny, and a lot of jiu-jitsu heads are sneakerheads, but it's a jiu-jitsu sneaker, Albino, A&P, you know, I'm not saying even me, like I would like to see some high-end black belts or high-level black belts rocking them, or even some, you know, some high-level blue belt, purple belts. But you know, to allow them to get away to some of these bots, because you know the bots are out there. I don't care what they say about, you know, about the bots not able to get ahead of them. You know, the resellers were all over them.
Did you go for them on the sneaker site?
Unfortunately, I did. And when I
did you see how it said like that Nike's working to ensure that there's no bot
usage?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, man. These guys are. These kids are incredible.
They are. And all they want to do is resell them. Yeah. You know, so at least let a black belt that trains in New Jersey and has his own school, you know, and is about to get his first degree black belt this week. You know, at least give him a chance. No specifics on that, but there's others aside from myself out there.
What's the zip code?
08844. I'm not giving out my full address though. But I would have liked to see, you know, some jiu-jitsu heads get a hold of some jiu-jitsu merchandise. You know, because I think, you know, obviously there's no sneakerheads getting a hold of your gi drops or your no gi drops. So you know, support those that support you, A&P. But you know, that being said, I love what you guys are doing.
That's a good shoe, man.
It's a very nice shoe, and I love what they did with it. I really do. You know, although I will say the orange and green or orange and gray camo gi isn't one of my favorites.
Is it orange? I thought it was yellow.
I thought it was orange. I could be wrong.
That might be the show you roll one had like the.
No, yeah, show roll had just the straight camo.
Yeah, camo.
Yeah, that was nice with the white gi on the outside.
Maybe it was like some kind of like filter they put over it. 'Cause I thought it was
it's
yellow.
possible.
But either way, it's not.
It's not one of my favorites.
And what a weird response, bro. Like, what a weird clap back.
It is.
Oh, you put out camo? Watch the camo I put out.
Exactly. I want to take your camo and multiply it by 20. So if you see some hunters out there in some orange camo, they're rocking some A&P gis. For comfort.
It will not be me.
Yeah, it definitely won't be me either. And then some of the other drops are a little nuts, but I won't get into them as much. But A&P, you know, get some of us little guys out here, some of them sneaks. But anyway, signing off. We will, even though we're not knuckle sandwiching it anymore, for copyright purposes. Be on the lookout for Beware the Dog podcast. That's our new name. Something that we came up with kind of off the cuff, but wasn't being used out there. And also actually it didn't just come out of nowhere. We were on the mats in our kids class, and Imran, was it a little Imran? Who's like this kid is an absolute savage on the mats. Great kid, absolute savage on the mats. He's the one that actually coined the new name. So and be on the lookout for Imran, because I think you're gonna see. He's originally from Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
So he's got the Dagestani blood in him. But look out for that kid, because he's a little killer. But look out for the next episode, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.